What's up, guys and gals? It's host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys finally the return of Jujustu Kaisen, chapter 153 review incoming, because we have waited quite a long time for this, and Gege did not disappoint, because a lot of people have been saying, okay, it's time for the reveal, it's time for the reveal, it's time for the reveal. A lot of people didn't like the Maki short story version and stuff. Sort of like inside of the overall arc. They didn't like that we were just focusing on Maki, and everybody wanted to know, where's Hikari? Where's Hikari? Where's Hikari? Well, we get Hikari this chapter, guys. So after the hiatus and stuff, and Gege taking care of his health, taking a well-deserved break, we now jump into chapter 153, and it's the Hikari chapter reveal. It's the Hikari chapter. One thing that's going to disappoint, I think, a lot of people is that a lot of people assumed Hikari, and from fan art that I saw, a lot of people thought that Hikari was black. I mean, that's not a bad assumption or whatever, but all the colorizations I saw, people thought that he was, at the very least, like Southern American, Latino, African, or something like that. Darker skinned, and here it appears that that is not the case. That does not seem to be the case. So I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if people are disappointed or not, because I haven't seen anybody's reviews today. I've been extremely lazy today, so all I did was read the chapter, and I haven't really been on Discords or anything like that. So I'm going to be curious as to what people think of the design. Honestly, I really like the design just right out of the gate. I think Hikari looks cool. I think he looks like a badass. And he's got himself a whammon. He's got himself a girl and stuff who is also a fellow third year. So that's pretty cool. Third year, Jujutsu High student. So there's a lot to unpack here, but let's just go through the chapter, because after the whole Maki stuff, then we jump back to Tengen, and he basically says that Hikari's basically running Fight Club. Okay, it's part of Fight Club. It's literally the movie Damage mixed with the movie Fight Club. That's literally what it is. And I was like, was Gege like when he was on break, did he just catch up with a bunch of underground fighting movies or something? Like, is that what he did? Because he literally takes the lines from Fight Club. So I thought that was extremely funny, extremely interesting, and I was just like, really? This is the angle we're going with? So I don't think anybody expected that we were going to have this underground Fight Club, hand-to-hand combat between sorcerers. Now, what's interesting is that they say, at first it's sort of like there are mostly, the spectators are non-sorcerers. This is the very beginning of the chapter, right? Tengen explains all this, like, we got to go find Hikari. But there are curse users there. There are, and there is a lot of like cursed energy and blah, blah, blah. And all the hand-to-hand combat fighters are sorcerers. Now, as Megumi states, it's like, doesn't that clearly violate, like, of course, it's an underground fight club, so hence it's probably not exactly legal anyways. But it's like the whole idea of Jujutsu like society being secretive, Harry Potter style sort of idea. It's like Men in Black style, right? Like we don't reveal to the public, the secrecy, the secret is important sort of idea. And we get this whole idea, but then that is also cleared up. It's like it's only sorcerers in the matches, but they aren't allowed to use cursed techniques. They aren't allowed to use cursed energy because regular people can't see it, and an invisible fight is boring. That's literally the reason. So it's quite interesting. Either way, they take off their uniforms and yada yada yada. Because it's actually Yuji and Megumi. They're the ones who go to this fight club to go find Hikari. They're changing their clothes and blah, 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 because Hikari, of course, was suspended from school and blah, blah, blah. He engaged in illegal activities. So if he realizes that we're from the high school, he might he might bolt. He might run away or whatever. We don't know. So we're just going to like pretend that we're not there. We're just going to join, the club, blah, blah, blah. We're going to see what we're doing here. So they go in and they ask to join the fights, of course. And he's like, we're here to join the fights. And the big bouncer guy says, rule number 1 is no one says anything about the club. So there's the Fight Club reference for everybody, an underground fighting ring. So they basically convince them after they hear from the boss. Now, is Hikari the boss? Apparently, Hikari was claimed to just be a bookie, according to Tengen, is making money as a bookie for an underground fight club. As far as I was aware, I thought, and they even referred to as the other guy with the bouncer as just another bookie or a lackey, sort of. So I'm curious, Hikari seems to be in charge. He seems to be the boss. I'm not 100% on this exactly because it's left ambiguous, but I wouldn't consider the boss running an underground fighting ring as just a bookie, but, like, usually the boss has a bookie. So, not really sure what's going on there, but either way, I believe that maybe that's just me, like, reading too, like, literal of things. It seems like Hikari is the one running this show. Either way, the chapter goes on that Yuji is going to fight. Megumi is going to, like, hide in the shadows and stuff and try to figure out where Hikari is, blah, 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 what's going on. They do get a call and say that Yuji is the only one, like, they want Yuji to fight, but not this guy. The boss said that Yuji gets to fight, but not Megumi, and blah, blah, blah. They play up the act, they play the game, and Yuji's just, like, so impressed by Megumi's acting and is like, no, I'm the one who's going to fight. And he's like, this is perfect. See, I can, sneak around and stuff like that, and while Yuji's distracting them, and maybe he'll get closer his way, maybe I'll get closer my way, yada, yada, yada. So there is that kind of deal. They explain that strategy. Like, a lot of the chapter is basically Megumi and Yuji infiltrating this fight club. And Megumi basically explaining to Yuji how they're going to track down Hikari inside the fight club. They've got a couple of avenues to go. He might, start sneaking around. He might not snoop around because, of course, they came in together. And even if Yuji had a potential to find Hikari, he might not actually get to meet Hikari. They'll be suspicious of him if they catch Megumi because there are other, as Tengen told them, there's other cursed users around, not necessarily just the fighters. Some of the bookies, some of the spectators might also be sorcerers, curse users, whatever. So, like, Megumi's like, since I don't know, maybe I should just lay low for a little while. Just be a spectator, and maybe you'll get there quicker this way. Who knows? They even say that they might fight their way out, but that would be the most, like, they're trying to get Hikari to join them for the culling game and stuff like that. That's their point here. Their point is not to, like, ruin his business or ruin everything, like, fight their way out of everything. Like, sometimes fists aren't exactly everything. So that's a big majority of a part of the chapter. But then they basically said, like, you can't fight. We already talked about this at the beginning of the review. You're not allowed to fight because of the cursed energy, blah, blah, blah. There are scripted matches, unscripted matches, yada, yada, yada. It's standard underground fight club stuff, right? It's just the rule. So either way, the bouncer guy basically says, Yuji, that, like, if you do well, you probably will meet the boss because he asks what he's like, etc., etc. They tore out, and this is what's reminding me of the movie Damage more than Fight Club. It's an underground, we get this nice double spread. There's an underground arena, basically. They caved in an entire section of the floor so that everybody could fight down below, and the spectators can watch from one level above. They just get to watch the fighting down below. So, right? Now, the best part is that, number one, they actually have an announcer guy, and he looks like an announcer. He's got the bow tie and the dress shirt and everything, and he's all, hello, Fight Club! Welcome to the club tournament, and I'm your announcer, John Bobby! We got that sort of personality. I hope in the anime, when they do it, they really give him that over-the-top dramatic announcer style. Now, Yuji is going to be fighting Panda, of all people. He's going to be fighting Panda. So they announced the stuff, and Yuji's just looking excited, and he's like, oh, so I get to fight Panda. Panda's here. Now, we know that Panda was released, previously, before we started the whole Maki thing, right? After the president, or the principal died and all that stuff, and was killed, we know that Panda was, of course, saved. Now, apparently, this is where he went. Maybe he was sent here to go find Hikari as well, it appears. This is our first shot that we get to see of Hikari, and we get to see this other, his woman, I guess, who, he makes a blunder. He makes a blunder, and we'll talk about it at the end of the chapter. But either way, she's got stars in her eyes as her pupils. That's really, really cool. That's really, really interesting. I find that pretty badass. Now, I'm assuming that's relevant because the whole thing about Hikari, and so far we're seeing it, it's luck is nothing if you don't test it. We always knew his curse technique would be based in luck or gambling in some way, and it appears he does both because he talks about luck, and he says it's boring knowing who's going to win. So even though apparently he sets up scripted matches by the sounds of it, he finds those just boring. That's just to make the money. The unscripted matches is what he actually enjoys. So, and he basically says that no stray sorcerer is tough enough to beat Panda. And they're like, oh, really? Do you really think that? So there's they clearly, Hikari here, and why would he, but he does not recognize Yuji. So he has no inkling that this is, a Jujutsu High, and which was their intention. So that's really good. So far, so good as far as the plan goes. Now, Yuji and Panda are going at it, but they are silently talking to each other. He says, have you met Hikari? Like, hey, Panda, have you, as they're fighting, like, have you met Hikari yet? He's like, no, he isn't suspicious because he knows me, but he has been avoiding me. And of course, Hikari would know Panda. And there's another third-year sorcerer who is also apparently a problem. And you're hiding that you're a Jujutsu High student. He said, yes, that's good. Then you know what to do next and stuff. So Yuji ends up winning and beating Panda, right? And Panda pretends and they act, because they weren't really, they were sort of fake fighting idea, right? And he basically says, like, and I find it hilarious because he basically says, oh, and he's down on the ground like, PETA will hear about this. This is animal abuse. This is animal cruelty. The Animal Welfare Society, they will hear about this, and I'm just like, okay, that's kind of funny. I like that they bring Panda to do that over-the-top acting and stuff like that, right? So either way, Hikari is, as we do see Hikari, and he says he always wants, apparently his catchphrase is, do it while the iron's hot sort of idea, and he wants to write a script with him. So even though he said, like, knowing the outcome is boring, he seems to be the one who likes writing the scripted fights. So I'm sort of getting a bit of a whiplash with his mood swings, with his characters. His thing, luck should be tested, scripted matches are boring, but I want to script some beautiful matches. Strike while the iron's hot. I'm not really getting a vibe on his character right now. And his girl, whose name is Hoshi, Kirara Hoshi. So Kirara is, which can actually pronounce Kilala, so, just from my days of reading other manga. But, so I don't know if you're pronouncing the R's as L's for her name or whatever. I'm going to go with Kirara for right now until somebody says, oh no, you had it right the first time. The R's are pronounced as L's and etc. It's a very common thing in Japanese language. So, she just there like, all right, you know what, just stop it and whatever. But you know what I would find extremely funny? Is that she's got the stars in her eyes, right? And she's a bit of a punk rocker sort of style, and apparently Hikari's girlfriend, right? And Hikari, he looks like a pimp. He's wearing the crocodile James Bond fur coat sort of thing. Ulfric Stormcloak called. He wants his rebellion back. You know what I mean? He's got the look. He's got the swagger. He's got the cell phone. I don't see any rings on the guy, but he's got a pierced ear by the looks of it. He's got the little bit of stubble, the dirt stash and stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm the man. What's going on? Sort of idea, right? So Hikari's design, I definitely like the look of Hikari here. I think he looks like a badass. As I said before, a lot of people assume that he would be like black, or at least the colorizations that I saw painted him to potentially be black, and I guess he's not. It doesn't really bother me one way or the other, but I guess some people might be upset by that. But either way, the star thing, if his thing is still luck or gambling based, and he is gambling, he's scripting, and he's talking about luck, she's got stars in her eyes, and she's a Jujutsu High third year as well, so she's no slouch. We know that. I wonder, with the stars in the eyes, does that mean she's like a horoscope person? Like what? I imagine her ability suits up with Hikari quite well. I think the stars in the eyes are relevant. Maybe she's she's a zodiac sign person. Maybe she's a horoscope person. Sort of the same deal there. But it's like around that sort of style. You know what I mean? Like something to do with that. Maybe it's to do with astronomy or astrology or something. Maybe another like a prediction thing. That's why I'm going more horoscope route, because it's more like predicting what's going to happen, just like what Hikari's thing is luck based and gambling and stuff, and it's predictions and stuff like that. So it would sort of match up like as a cool duet, a cool pair. So maybe the stars are just an aesthetic choice. Maybe they're just an aesthetic choice. I have no idea. But either way, we see that Megumi has decided to sort of infiltrate, and he's using like the shadows and blah blah blah, and he's got the I really like the shot of him because you can see like he's listening in about the buddy here who's talking to Hikari, who says like Kirara will provide security as well. This is thrilling. I haven't been on this edge for a long time and stuff. It's like keep an eye, try to find the other kid. You know, you got to stay vigilant. Like, I don't really know what's going on. Somebody beat Panda that easily. Something's fishy going on. So he does suspect something, but he's like excited about it. He's like, ooh, something I didn't expect. Let's do this, right? So definitely really like Hikari here. And then of course the funny line at the end is says he hasn't felt this on edge, this excited since the days of my old girlfriend and maxed out credit cards. And clearly they're together because Kirara basically says, oh, don't you talk about her. You know, it's like, who the hell mentions their ex-girlfriend in a positive light in front of their current girlfriend? Like, what an asshole. What an idiot, right? So it'll be funny if the opening for next chapter is him getting smacked upside the head. Because apparently Kirara is going to go out there sort of idea. Now, once again, this is a huge, huge chapter for a lot of people. A lot of people have been waiting for Jujutsu Kaisen to come back. Is it a good return chapter? You know, because that's the chapter, guys. And as I said, I went through it page by page pretty much because I'm so excited to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen again at this point. But is this a worthy return chapter? I think so. I think it was a smart idea to end the Maki stuff, which I really enjoyed. We weren't going to follow that anymore. And let's reveal Hikari. Was he revealed well? I think so. I don't think we're doing this whole, like, we wait until the very end of the chapter and then, boom, there he is, and we see Hikari, and he doesn't say anything, and we don't get anything from him. It was good to sort of entwine him into the chapter, for the most part, you know what I mean? We see a little bit of his personality. We get to see sort of what he's about, what he's like, his look, his aesthetic. We meet a brand new sorceress. I don't believe she was ever mentioned before, so clearly another third year. I'm like, whoa, of course there'd be another third year, but yeah, okay, this is kind of cool. This is pretty cool. So, and I'm excited to see what she is capable of. Once again, don't know if her name is supposed to be pronounced Kilala or Kirara, but, you know, because R's and L's in Japan. But either way, I think I'm looking forward to her potential as well, because apparently she's going to now go down on the floor and provide security. I assume she's going to clash with Fushiguro. So that's going to be really interesting. And this is a tournament. So who's Yuji going to fight next? Who is Itadori going to fight next? I'm probably not a familiar face next time. Panda being there is kind of cool. And maybe he'll go up to the spectator ring and he'll be sniffing around as well. Pun not intended. But is this a worthy chapter? I think so. I think it was the right time. A lot of people were saying, we need Hikari. I want that guy revealed. Like, we've waited long enough. Gege, let's show him. And jumping back off the hiatus, giving the fans what they want, giving Hikari to a lot of people. So, I think this is going to be really interesting. I don't think we're going to jump away from this fight ring for at least the next half a dozen chapters. So strap in, guys, because I think we're going to be here for a sort of a mini tournament. You know what it's reminding me of? It's Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door, the Glitz Pit. It's all about, okay, yeah, I'm going to enter the Glitz Pit, but that's not my true intention here. There's all the background stuff going on. There's a plot behind the main event. The main event is, of course, yeah, you fight in a tournament and rounds and stuff, but there's deception in the locker room. There's deception in the background. There's cut deals and snidey things and, you know, under the table, you know, handshaking and money exchanges and stuff. It's all big corruption, right? So there's a plot on top of a plot sort of idea, and the Fight Club is the face, you know, but all the interesting stuff is in behind it. So I'm looking really forward to seeing that stuff. Hope you guys are too. I know this has been a longer review, guys, but Jujutsu Kaisen's back. Aren't you guys happy? Aren't you guys stoked? I just want to keep talking about it. I haven't been able to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen for a while because there wasn't really anything new to talk about. So now we got a brand new chapter. We're getting another chapter next week and stuff. I'm just really excited that we have this. That Jujutsu Kaisen's back in full form. A lot of people who were Maki haters can rest easy now. We've jumped away from that mini story arc, and now we're back into the main, you know, scope of things. So either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe as always. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always, as I always do. And we will see you beautiful sons and guns again. Like Lost Pause always says. I need to go watch another Lost Pause video. Anyways, we'll see you guys back here next time. Later, everybody. Peace out.